Okay, so we are live. Thank you so much for joining us all across the board. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. We are live on TikTok. Yeah, baby. Love that. So, this is Sunday service with the Morrisons. And this is David, and I'm Tammy Morrison. And we are here to just talk to you and just share a little bit about. Today, we're going to talk about love. We're going to share a little bit about how we met, and we're going to talk a little bit about relationships and some of the things that we have learned in relationship. And so, I'm going to just start by saying this man is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Um, I had experiences before in my life, you're so welcome, that I didn't have that wonderful, but this man is wonderful. And so we met, we were both not looking for anybody. So that's always the first key that I always tell people. When we met, we were not looking for people. We weren't looking for each other. We weren't looking for anybody. When I met David, I was looking for myself. I was looking to see who I was, really dive deep into all of me. I was transforming and I was changing into a better version of myself, which I think is super important, because I was at a point in my life where I had been divorced for a few years. My children were all grown, so it was really all about me at the time. And so I was really just looking for peace and looking to find out, who I was in this next version of my life, because for me, I got married really young. So I felt like I had been married all my life. And I felt like I had been either somebody's wife. First, I was somebody's daughter. Then I was somebody's wife. Then I was somebody's mother. And so I had to decide and really heal from that relationship. And I also had to decide who I was and who I was going to be, and what the next great version of me was. And so when we met, um, I was working 3 jobs. Yeah, the guy had just started working the third one when we met. And so I was working 3 jobs, and I was living in a little place, which it was peaceful and it was mine. And that was really what I needed at the time. And I went to church with a friend of mine. She invited me to her church, and I went kicking and screaming because the type of church that it was, I was kind of like, I'm not sure about this, because I really stopped doing legalistic churches, churches that have all of these made up rules that have nothing to do with God. And so I wouldn't have probably gone if I had realized the type of church that it was, but I didn't. And so I had gone. This was about my third time going. And David walked in. And when he walked in, I wish I could say, and that was history. But there was so much more to it. I mean, really, it really was history. It really was. But he walked in and I saw him and I said, oh my goodness. Woo, that's what I said. And so when we got ready to leave church, um, I saw he had a collar on and it had Affleck on it. And so I asked him, I said, you do Affleck? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, do you have a card? And he said, yeah. So he gave me the card. And I don't know if he remembers, but my friend remembered. I it went over my head because things typically do. But I said, what's a good time to call you? And he said, you can call me anytime. I didn't even get that. I didn't pick it up as anything. I just said, okay, and so I took it there. And then I think I called you, twice? I called you twice at the number at the office number.
You got the memory on that.
I called him twice at the office number. And then the lady at the office gave me his direct number. And so I called him on the direct number. And I said, well, I don't know if I want to. And I said, yeah, I waited a day or so. And then I called him on the direct number. And then he called me back a few days later. And we talked for hours. We talked for a couple of hours. And I think I was actually getting ready to go look for a house because I was house hunting at the time. And so I said, well, I've got to go, look for this house, because we're going to go out and, whatever. And I said, and he said, well, you want to go to dinner? And I said, yeah, we can do that. And so he said, you want to meet me there? I said, no. I said, I'm old fashioned. I said, I want you to pick me up. You remember that?
I've been chauffeuring ever since. Some of you guys can relate to that.
But it's been amazing, and it's like after that it was like okay, and then it was history because we went out to dinner, and we were out to dinner for about 4 hours, I think. We were at that restaurant so long I was almost wondering if they were going to kick us out. But we just had such a good time, and we had such a hey Victoria, thank you for hanging out with us. And so I was just so excited to meet somebody that was so nice and so comfortable. And I felt a comfort level immediately. I mean, when we first met, I was comfortable with him, which is unusual for me because typically I'm not that comfortable with people, especially when I first meet them. Usually it takes a little while for me to, warm up to them and all this stuff, and then make sure that, they're not going to hurt me and all that stuff because I've been through a lot in my life. And it wasn't like that with David. It was like almost immediate. Like we met and I felt so comfortable with him. And I felt like I had been knowing him for a long time. I felt like I had been with him forever. And I think we came to the conclusion that we have been together in other lives. I'm not sure if it's one or two, but at least we've been together before because there's so many things that we know about each other that we probably wouldn't know having been together, not such a long time in this realm is what I'm going to say. So anyway, but as you move forward, there's so many things that you learn and you grow and all of this stuff. And so you learn and you grow and you realize too. And then also I think the fact that we have been married before and we know, how that can be as opposed to how it is, and as opposed to the things that, we make sure that we don't go to sleep angry at each other, which we don't hardly be angry at each other, no way.
I never, I've never been angry with this woman.
So,
Shoe might be different on that.
So, but that's something that we said. We came together and we said, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And it's wild because the thing is, we realize that, everything is not always perfect, but it's perfect for us because we're perfect for each other, you know? And I think the thing that I realized too is that love is so beautiful, especially when you make sure that you are loving unconditionally. And we always want to stress that. And we talk to young people about that as well. And then the other thing is too, we're old enough to know you don't tell your business to all your family and friends and people, like if you ever get in any type of disagreement or anything like that, you leave them out of that. You deal with your shit on your own, because the thing we know is that you deal with people like that, and then they hold on to stuff that you have forgotten and you have released. You're like, oh, and so we definitely take our own advice in that way, so because we know how people can be, because people hold grudges, we don't, because we don't believe in it, but other people do. And so that is, if I could give that advice to any young couple or any couple that's getting married or, whatever you do, don't don't share your stuff with your family and your friends and, your arguments or your disagreements or anything like that. That's because they hold that stuff real close as opposed to, how other people do. Thank you so much. But we are just so grateful, to be here and just be able to share this, with people, because we know that everybody doesn't know, and that a lot of people, because there are no manuals when you get married. I mean, there are books and stuff, but they could be like Dr. Spock, who wrote all these children's books and never had a child, you know. And to me, that's like, okay, how in the world can you tell us about that and you never been married or you never been, with a partner or whatever? So how can you even say anything? So we realize that, but we just make sure that we talk about everything, and we share, intimate things with each other. And honestly, it's my best friend. And it's so refreshing to feel that way about somebody. And if you find somebody that you're lucky enough to feel that way about, oh my God, you have been blessed. You have been blessed. Maybe what you got to say.
Um, Tammy covered a lot of ground right there. One of the things, what I find out in love is you think like some of us know him as King David or David or Dahoud. Uh, we think sort of like when he lost his child in infancy, he uh, he knew right away that he was gonna see him in heaven. He said, "I'll go to him," and he had a peace. And with Tammy and doing a relationship, I feel like where you really love, you think of the hereafter. One of the things I studied in college was dietitian. Uh, uh, I'm constantly thinking of and making good diets for us so we have longevity. We go both come from stock that live long on this earth. So we make plans like that, and um, the old fashioned come out with Tammy sometimes when she don't even know it because she's a Savannah girl, and uh, um, I give homage to her dad, the judge, and her mom, the nurse for over almost 50, over 50.
Over 50.
Yeah, and these people are amazing. I got to go down to Savannah and hang out. I already knew them from my wedding, but I got to hang out and rub elbows with my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. She comes from amazing, amazing. I think she kind of know, but she have to really think about it. But they're such amazing people she come from. But yeah, when we met, we wasn't looking. I was doing several things also, and insurance was a side step for me. Not just Aflac, but a few others, and uh, um, I grew up traditional religion. We grew up in temple. That's how I got the name David, and my sisters Elizabeth, and I can go on because our family is pretty big. But at the same time, someone got me to go to this church, and the man of God there was he was just an amazing person. And this is where I say, no matter what religion you're into, if you meet amazing people, they're amazing people. He was a man of age, but his wisdom and his love was just out of this world. And we've met people like him all throughout our relationship, and
Yeah.
we try to honor those relationships any way we can because they're not easy to find.
No.
Um, t- uh, uh, Tammy says, I ran out on her like Joseph when we first got in a place together. But I had so much respect for Tammy. When things felt a little heated, I knew we was gonna be together for a long time. When I first met her, she didn't know I knew that, but I just knew it because we had a period of silence, but she was about to erase me from her phone, and
You remember that?
of course I do, and that she purges her phone back then as a single woman, especially every New Year's, and it was almost New Year's, and I was about to be purged. But at the same time, I ran out because, yeah, I did have that respect, and I didn't want to just be a fling or whatever. And Tammy and her old fashioned ways, when when we moved in together, cohabitated as the church put it. Uh, we she didn't have a comfort with that, so she just came straight out. And some of my friends I told this story to, they said, "You let that woman talk to you that way?" I said, "Well, you have to know Tammy. She just came to me and said, 'I love you, but I can't just keep playing house with you.'" And I took it very serious. She's not a woman of a lot of words in that area. Once she says something, there's not a lot of debating. If you do, you know her mind is made up already, so you'll be debating the air.
You know,
So
you know.
yeah, when she walked away, I immediately start making plans because I said, uh, she don't even know we were together before the foundation of the world, and we're not meant to be apart. But this marriage thing is a rough thing, especially if you've been in one in the past. But again, it can be a very loving thing in a partnership and a friendship, and that's what we had.
Yeah.
Um, my proposal was non-traditional. I wish I had the videos and the
She wanted
camera.
to the video, right?
Right. Um, but I went to the counter at Macy's. And matter of fact,
Baby, you gotta go back.
oh, go back where?
Back to how you told me let's go shopping.
Oh, oh. Well, Tammy know those details better, but I said let's go shopping, and I already had it planned. And when we went to the jewelry counter, her and a lady, helped pick out, and they looked at rings, and she got this beautiful, beautiful diamond, and I opened my mouth and insert foot. I don't regret it, but at the time I was a little shocked because I said, "Are you sure that's the one you want? That's the one you really like?" And she reached over and she said, "No, I really like this." It was a chocolate diamond. And some of you know about chocolate diamonds. They're a thing that don't come, without good cost. So she probably got the highest end one in the display, and 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 I didn't hesitate. I didn't blink. Uh, but I just got down on one knee right there while she tried it on. So if she said no, which I couldn't see it, she would struggle to get it off, and she had to think about it. But her and a lady, I wish I could have videotaped that moment. They were both in tears, and the rest is history. But like I said, when you really love, you constantly you share. You don't hold on to past things. I did that in relationship where we talked about the past. We start sharing things. Some things you never share. uh, It's not like it's secret, but you never share. Some things are meant to leave in the past. Um,
Right.
we find out. We talk about fantasies. We one day, even my brother, he when I told him about Tammy, I said, yeah, we're able to talk about anything. He said, anything? I think mainly he thought he would be in, you know, be somewhere in the middle of that conversation. But I said, yeah, then I to make him feel comfortable. I said, yeah, almost anything. But we're able to talk about anything, and we don't hold grudges. We don't get angry over stuff, and sometimes we throw out crazy ideas to each other that one might think it is and one might think it's not. But we roll with it, and we don't just disagree. The only thing I disagree with Tammy on was kind of recent because she's been in the medical field also for over 30 years. And she said, you know what? Up in Canada, they treat people so much better, as far as the workforce in the medical field, especially. She said, I wouldn't mind going up there. And I thought about how we are in this house, and if the temperature outside goes to 50 degrees, the fireplace go on sometime, and I have to tell Tammy, Tammy, I'm getting dressed for work. I'm gonna be soaked. I said, just put on some clothes until I get out the house. So I said, no, I said, Canada will not work for you. And she almost looked at me in a strange way, like, what? You really saying no? But at the same time, I know that would be a suffering for Tammy, because we have a Marine next door, and when he sees my wife,
He had on shorts today.
yeah, he had on shorts. It was probably close to 50 now. Yeah,
Right.
but he's shorts and t-shirt.
Yep.
Hey, I love you, Marine, if you're listening. But him and Tammy have a thing between them where he gets a good laugh, and Tammy's not always laughing with him. But he sees Tammy at about 40 something degrees. She go out the door like an Eskimo. Sometimes she got this long, beautiful coat I bought her with the fur around the collar. I mean, around the hood, and she'll have her neck scarf on, her gloves,
Yep.
and
Hat,
hat. Yeah,
hoodie.
yeah,
Yeah, all that.
exactly. And
But he never told me no before, y'all.
right,
Never. I never.
right,
It kind of hurt me, my feelings a little bit. But then I recognized and I realized that he was probably right, because yeah, it do be cold, and it's colder there. But I was a little bit sort of serious, because I was like, well, you know what? They don't work them as hard. They don't try to kill them like they do here in the States.
right,
So I said, maybe that's something, maybe that's a thing, because I mean, we moved here in the middle of a pandemonium. So I thought, well, we could probably do that, and it probably be more money there too, right?
right. But we just met a couple that does podcasts up there. They moved from the U.S. there. In the state of Washington, there's a lot of Canadians,
Yeah,
right? Uh, and
because it's so close.
right, and but we lived in Arizona so long, and I worked out there inside and outside, and it's torturous 3 to 4 months out of a year, but the 8 to 9 months is beautiful.
Yes,
It's like paradise weather,
like now it's beautiful.
right? But at the same time, I, I and back in the Northeast, I met heat like that. Especially owning a house in Jersey. You step out your door at 70 degrees, 77 degrees or above, and the humidity is 100%. You need a knife to walk out the door to cut the humidity. You no longer call it humidity, is humidity, because it's actually so thick. You stand in one spot. It's like Miami, Georgia, and all of that, and the rest of the places in the east. You stand in one spot and you sweat. So that's one thing I don't really enjoy. And then people talk about Arizona. Oh, it's dry heat. Yeah, it'll kill you too.
Heat
Um,
is heat.
right.
It's just dry heat at 120 degrees.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people don't know the difference between it's at 90 degrees with dry heat, the humidity might be 10 or 20%. And 90 degrees, believe it or not, people tripped on us when we said, "Oh, it's only 90 today,
Because it's
only
beautiful.
92." Yeah, it's beautiful. You get anywhere in the low 90s, and it's like, you know,
It's beautiful.
exactly.
Because
Um,
you can still wear your flip flops. I liked it because I could still get my toes done. Like here, it's just way too cold to be doing them toes and walking around on those flip flops. That's for the ground. It's just too cold for that. You need to cover your feet, put some socks on so you can keep your heat in. So yeah, I mean it's certain things that I did like about there, especially this time of year. Now summer, no. I mean honestly, I could be a snowbird and be fine with it. Where I went someplace, in the winter I went someplace warm and tropical, and then in the summer I would stay here because it's beautiful here in the summer, beautiful. And Oregon coast, if you guys have not been there, whoo, that's a treat. Oregon coast is just beautiful.
it is.
It is simply beautiful. I can't wait till we go in the summer.
But Washington State is also paradise. I have a buddy at work. He practically lives in the mountains of Washington State. He loves the outdoors, and he makes me think about the outdoors because we're we're both water babies, where we love the beach. We both live near the water most of our lives, and the water on this coast is not as warm as the
It's cold
East Coast, and but at the same time, it's good to dip in
in the summer.
in the summer. Um, and we even have a tent we want to set up on the beach one day and just spend the day on the grill out there because they have grills near us on the beach, and it makes you Washington State makes you love the outdoors.
Yeah.
You just want to get out. The greenery, the the weather, the wall of waterfalls, and a lot of people don't know this state is it's the
It's the rainforest.
it's the rainforest of the Northeast, and not too many
Northwest.
places in the world touch it. And me being a retired Navy man, I travel the world. One thing we have in the U.S. that most countries nowhere in the world have. We have all the different seasons, the different terrains throughout the U.S. So we live in a gold mine. We're in a strategic area where we can't be harmed easy because we are surrounded by water and we're away from a lot of other places, and we're a strong country that know how to come together when it's necessary. I wish we showed that more as a country. That this division, it's getting off a little bit, but this division I've seen lately over the way people think or the way people politic. I disagree in all of that division.
For sure.
Uh, I even had a discussion last night with a coworker. I said, "Yeah, uh, being in the military back in the day, you couldn't choose a side because you had to be neutral about everything you did. You couldn't engage in any kind of protest because you pretty much represent the U.S. Everything else is secondary. My personal feelings, I learned uh, to to think like I want, but be a part of a team. Be a part of the masses at all time. Uh, I learned how to do that, and if we, I feel if we practice that as a nation, we would do a lot better.
As a
We
world.
Yeah, we think like we want, but we act as one. and so many people don't
And
know
you
how
be
to do
so
that.
much so considerate, and
Right,
you start looking at people through the eyes of love.
right.
Because the one thing that we try to do together is to be compassionate human beings and to look at people through the eyes of love, because that really is the principal thing. Love is the principal thing. We would have so much more love in the world. I mean, this country as well, but I mean, really, it's in the world that would cure so many things. It would heal so many people. It would heal so many relationships if we would just learn to love. And to be honest, we don't really have to learn to do that. We were born as love,
We were born in the image of love.
and we were born from love.
Exactly.
At some point, somewhere, somebody loved somebody in order to make you, whether it's for a minute or a lifetime. Somebody loved somebody in order for you to be here. I mean, unless you're one of those test tube babies or, in vitro. Now, that's a whole nother topic. We're not even going to talk about that. But typically, most of us got here because of love. And so we were born love. We are love. If we would consider that and keep being love and start showing love to others, start showing love to people that you wouldn't typically show love to. What I find is that when I'm kind to people, regardless of where and what, I get a whole different vibe from them. Because I know that a lot in this time is so much stuff happening, with the racial issues and the cultural issues and all of this bias and all these things that are happening. But when I find that when I'm kind to people that maybe I typically might not be kind to, or maybe I don't think to be kind to them, but when I am, and sometimes I actually go out of my way to be kind to people just to see, because life is an experiment. We are all in an experiment. And so when I experiment in that way and I go out of my way to be kind to people that maybe I might not have been kind to, or maybe I might not have thought to be kind to, or maybe I thought that they weren't going to be kind to me. But when I go out of my way to be kind to them, so much changes. Sometimes it's just what they need for their day. Sometimes people just need some kindness from people for their day. Maybe they were having a bad day, or maybe something happened, to them or in their family or something, and they needed a kind word. They needed somebody to say, "How you doing today?" Or "How's your day today?" Or my favorite is to say, "I hope your day is magical," because I believe that we should all have magical days. That's probably the fairy in me, but I still believe that we should all have magical days. Whether we do or not, it's up to you. That's it's not up to me or anybody else. It's up to you. What kind of day you decide to make, because the thing about it is, and I know this is not talking about love, but kind of it is. We're all creators. So you can create whatever it is that you want in your life and whatever day you want to have. Because here's the thing, and I know a lot of people beg to differ with me when I say this, but here's the thing. You create everything that you have, everything that you are, you have created. You've already created. Because one thing about this time is that we have already lived this time. That is why you have so many deja vu moments, because you've already lived this. We've already done this. We've already had this conversation. You've already watched us on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. We've already done this. It's already been done. So now all you have to do is just walk it out. Just walk it out. And I truly believe the same thing with love. I believe that if you would allow yourself to love, and I'm talking about every kind of love, I'm talking about the agape love, I'm talking about what's the other love?
Phileo.
Phileo love, all the love. If you would just allow yourself to love, allow yourself to step into that place, we would be so much healthier in our life. We would be so much healthier, because there are some things that The reason why people are having different issues and illnesses and things is because they don't have any love, or they don't feel loved in their life. And that to me is so huge and so important, in this time.
If you are born on this planet by whatever way you came to this planet, um, and whatever your belief is, or non-belief, uh, God is loving, and we're made in that image. And that said, we all have it in us, the perfect love.
Yep.
We're made perfect, and a lot of times I hear people say, "No, we're not perfect," but we are. We're made perfect. We choose the imperfections in our lives as we get older. We refuse to accept the fact that we can heal from anything. We refuse to accept the fact that we don't have to suffer. We don't have to be in pain. We don't have to, and sometimes we need help from man in these areas. But at the same time, we have so much power and love in this world. We have so much power to love. We have so much power to give, and love is just more than just a relationship between two people. It's a part of surviving and healing.
Yes.
And if you can't find some way to give that and show that, or just sometimes receive it, life gets rough, and you don't have to be in a relationship to do it. But there's even if you're living as a solo individual, where you're really not around people, the planet itself is based on love, the animals around us. And that said, we feel like our love is the perfect love because we don't share deep differences we have with outsiders, because we know it for us. It do, like Tammy said, it don't even last till we go to bed. But some people actually share too much outside. We tell every young person we know in a new relationship, you're gonna forgive each other, but people that you share stuff with on the outside don't always. And I just seen a famous ball player recently share some of the things, some of the fantasies of him and his wife. I said, people, just like Tammy said earlier, people don't need to know your deepest secrets or your fantasies, because he was put down for that because it was something him and his wife enjoy.
See, and and whatever happens in the marriage bed is undefiled.
Right.
So I mean, whatever you decide to do as a married couple, then why should anybody care? But people do. So it might not be something that you want to share with your people, just because if they're not, a lot of times if they're not with it, if they're not up on it, they're down on it. So if it's not something that they feel is acceptable, because I mean, everybody, you have whatever desires you have. And my thing is, it's not for me to judge your desires, and it's not for you to judge mine. But you wouldn't be able to judge them if I didn't put it out there to you. you know and so that's one of the things that's something that's huge, because especially in this social media where everybody's putting everything out on social media. And there are some things you don't need to put out on social media. You need to keep to yourself.
If if we have kids, we have to be careful also, because especially people from our generation, we did a lot of crazy stuff during our times, and um, that some of the generation here nowadays would even frown on. Uh, so we can't be judgmental of our children. one thing I shared with my children while they were growing up. Uh, you can talk about anything with me. If I haven't experienced it, I've seen it. I've been around it, and some of them helped me to it and realize it was true. One of my children, uh, doing during a certain time, was going through something and felt comfortable enough to come to me, and the advice I gave was it's not something that you are stuck with, and it's something you can move forward from.
Yeah.
You know, move forward and don't look back.
Yeah.
You know, learn from it,
Yes.
and we have to be patient. That this is what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind,
Hmm.
and we have to be patient.
Doesn't look at the
Yeah,
wrongs.
and love. We can't be judgmental. We have to look at, and it's like me and Tam, when we both in our works deal with mental health, and me being a little old fashioned, I believe in accountability, but at the same time, I believe in healing and getting help and things like that. Uh, but but all of that's love,
Yeah.
and I'm so happy that Tammy chose me before the foundation of the world, and I know it could have been somebody else, but she wouldn't have been happy. Uh, uh,
That's exactly right.
yeah, and the thing is, we both struggled with a lot of happiness before we met each other, and you don't need someone else to make you happy. It have
No.
to come from you. We were first successfully single before we decided to even cohabitate and move forward. We enjoyed our peace, and you have to you have to be that person yourself. You can't look for somebody else to bring it out.
Right.
You can't look for something to bring it out.
Right.
You have to do that from within, because if you look for somebody else to bring it out, you're destined to fail, and that person's destined to fail.
Right.
Don't be the person that says, you don't make me happy anymore. You don't, because that's not love.
Well, that's not even their
Eh,
job.
right. And also, what's not love is when you say, I love you, as long as you don't. Love is not is unconditional.
Yeah.
Once you say, uh, uh, I, I can fall out of love with you, or I love you as long
You
as,
do what I say.
or I love you if, or when you put any kind of thing after that, it's not love. It's something else.
Hmm.
And it's a word. Actually, a word for that. I was almost thinking of. It's something that's come from something else that's,
Manipulation.
well, that's not even of love. There's something we bring out and we call it
It's narcissism. Is what it just typically
that.
is.
Tammy pretty much have a straight answer for everything. As you could see, uh, uh, I still talk around things a little bit to make everyone comfortable, but at the same time, she's right. You know, and it's part of my profession too to make sure people around me are comfortable also. And I can't always succeed in that area, but I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good
You're
at
pretty good at
yeah, doing the room. We both have held audiences in front of us, and we're pretty comfortable at stepping into the room, reading the room, and knowing how to blend. And many of you out there, you might want to keep this in mind, just from somebody who's been around for a little while. Uh, uh, Try harder to blend because a lot of times it don't turn out well when you have your mindset but you project it outwardly instead of blending in the masses. Unless you have your own business, but you still have to be careful because you have to be loyal to those people you have to deal with, even if they're not directly your employees, but you still have to be somewhat loyal.
Right.
Just learn to think independently, but also learn to blend. And it's something we had to do in the military. I mastered it pretty well. Not early in the career because my dad had to tell me because if I seen wrongdoing, uh, I grew up in it. Well, I went into military in time. At times, you couldn't call out everything and survive. And my father had to tell me, yeah, it's the Lord that raise up leaders and that bring them low. And that's scriptural. And I see what it does in life because he also told me it was nothing forever except except the heavens. And and being slow to speak, quick to listen, all these practices helped me through my career because I went in at 17 years old and my mother signed me in and a few things were challenging to see to see some things going sideways, and I feel like I had to address. You want to be selective if it's not going to make a difference. Sometimes it's good to back off and let it flow and think it through. That's not to say let wrongdoing alone, but you have to think things through how you challenge things in life. And I've seen some generations struggle with this thing. However, love does it all. My wife is getting ready to yawn over here, or she's yawning a little bit. So she had a long day. I had a long night, and as you can see, I'm in my robe because I did a night shift, and some of you would work 12 hours and know what it's like. Uh, I had a nice gym workout during a break time, and so I'm rested. And my wife she just came from a, is it a women's circle?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
circle.
it was a circle, and that's a lot of energy. My wife do a lot of
Yeah.
energy work,
Yeah.
and so she's feeling it now. Sometime sometime I kind of joke at her, but I know she does a lot, and because she'll yawn in a heartbeat. I shouldn't be calling y'all yawning.
Well,
Yeah,
also
yeah.
yawning is also shifting the energy too.
Well, I never took anything past general psych in college, and they actually said at that time, and we actually did studies that yawning is a focus. It's not a boredom. It's a focus, and a lot of us read it wrong because that's what it is.
Yeah, because sometimes when I'm doing my sessions, I yawn too,
Right.
and I know it's because it's an escape. It's something to help you to shift that energy and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when you're doing energy work, a lot of times you'll yawn, you'll sigh, and people will take it all kind of ways, but it really is just that the energy shifting and moving in
Hmm.
the area and in the place and wherever it is that you're doing it. Because the energy just shifts and moves.
Yeah.
So anyway,
That's it.
that said, we thank y'all for joining us. You want to say something? We thank y'all for joining us. Um, for Sunday service with the Morrisons. And thank y'all for just coming on here and being with us when we come and bring this because we really enjoy doing this, and we know that a lot of things that we say are really helping a lot of people because they've been reaching out to us. And so if you're one of those people, we don't mind if you reach out. You can send us a DM on anywhere that you find us. I'm Googleable. David is on everywhere as well. So you can send us a message if that's something. And then also, if there's a topic that you want us to discuss, we would love it if you would comment or send us a DM and say, hey, can y'all talk about this? Because we love, sharing just bits of wisdom that we've gotten over the years. Because, like David said, we're both over 50. So we have gotten some wisdom. We've been married a few times, so we've gotten a lot of wisdom and we learned a lot of things. And so we have a desire to share those things with people, especially with the younger generation that's coming up. Because a lot of times what we're learning is that a lot of young people don't have parents, or they don't have people in their life that can speak into their lives. And so we have actually done that with a few different young couples that we have been around. It's been a blessing that we've met so many beautiful young couples, and they actually want to be in our presence because of the wisdom that we bring and the wisdom that we share with them. And so that warms our heart. We are excited about that. Matter of fact, we have a wedding that we're going to of another young couple next month, and I'm so excited about that. And I told David, I said, everywhere we go, it's like we get children. So this is another young couple that are like around the same age as our children, and they're getting married, and they wanted us there. And so we were excited, to join them and be there just to celebrate them and celebrate with them. Because, I know a lot of what, the young lady went through in order to get to having a healthy, beautiful relationship that she has now. And they have a little cute little boy. And so we're excited to do that. And we are so blessed in our life that we meet young people like that. Because we have
We're
children,
honored.
we're honored. And we have children, in those ages, and some of them, of course, they don't want to deal with their parents and different things like that, but they'll listen to other people. And I'm grateful that other people speak into their lives that they listen to. But then there are these other young people that we meet that are so happy and honored that we are in their lives. And that is a blessing for us. And we're, like David said, we're honored to be able to be there and support them in that way.
And they support us.
And they support us. Yeah.
Just by being them and
Yeah.
seeing the younger us, and they help keep us young also.
Yeah.
The energy is different.
They tell us stuff like my
Right.
little girlfriend told me, and I was
Right.
almost hurt. She almost hurt my feelings. When she told me, you remember I was telling you, she was telling me about somebody that was doing hair, and they were doing a press. It was a press, the child had natural hair, and they were doing a press. And I asked her, so well, how much did that cost? Because I was considering it, right? She said it was $90. I said, $90. Oh my gosh. For somebody to press somebody's hair, you didn't put no chemicals in it? $90. And I said, I won't think I would have paid more than 40 or 50 or something like that. She said, and she looked at me and she said, yeah, those is 20 years ago prices. So they help keep us in check too.
Right.
Help keep us up, with the times. Because honestly, I was like, I think I'm gonna press my own hair, because that is like ridiculous to me to pay somebody almost $100 just to press your hair. And I laugh because in the old days, our grandmas used to press our hair. I think my grandma used to press my hair. My auntie, she was a hairdresser, so she used to press my hair. And I was like, but $100 to get some hair pressed? And that was a child too. That was not even an adult. So I was like, well, what they charge the adults to do it? But that's just an example of how they help keep us, up with the times. We're so grateful. We're so grateful.
Tell us where you're from.
Tell us where you're from. Tune in. Tell us where you're from. Tell us anything else.
Well, Tammy represent Savannah, South Carolina. Spent time in Connecticut. I represent New York by way of the world. Traveled the world. Not as most as some people, but over 20 countries. I love the people that I've met all over the world. I think everybody should do it. you learn to respect people's culture, different people. You see them from their point of view. I love the Middle East. I love Israel. Um, I, I, I I love Africa and all the other places, the
Caribbean.
Netherlands, the Caribbeans. I just love all the people from all those parts. Knowledge is power. We try to put as much knowledge, wisdom,
Chicago
understanding
representing.
that we can put out there. Uh, um, Chicago, your pizza is really okay. The flat is better, but to be on the serious side, I love deep dishes. I know that's not what Chicago's all about, but
You
I
know, they're
got
about
to,
the Cubs
yeah, I got to
and the
ex-
Bears.
experience. Well,
And
yeah,
great mistake.
Great Mistake, Illinois. That's why I started my Navy career at. We call it Great Mistake because it was so cold. Beautiful place, but cold. Great Mistake, Illinois. Great Lakes, Illinois. Yeah. Let us know where you're representing from. We like to hear that, and uh, uh, for y'all up in New York, you changed the name since I've left, but it's still the same. We call it Boogie Down. I lived in Boogie Down, Bronx for a while, but I represent Brooklyn for most of the life, and even had Queens and Money Making Manhattan, and so you kind
I
of got
wasn't even
around
living
there.
in Mount Vernon.
Money in Mount Vernon is some of the places where my dad's stomping ground when he was a kid. He was up there in Westchester and New Rochelle and what have you. So some of you know what I'm talking about when I say 233rd in the Bronx, that Gun Hill Road and all that stuff. But at the same time, I just said a whole mouthful, and we said enough. You reach out to Tammy. She's good people. If she's in your area or we're in your area, she'd be glad to sign a book for you. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, she plays low key, but she's worldwide. She have her friends right now trying to reach out to her from Australia and parts of Africa and in India and parts of Europe. So
Yeah.
those people and in Canada, and they show a
Yeah.
lot of love to her. They appreciate her. So U.S. Don't let her get away from you and just flow over there. Make
But
sure
I
you
will.
yeah make sure you reach out when we're in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And like I said, just to say hi or get a book signed or hear her speak. 'Cause,
So we'll be in Arizona
yeah,
next month.
yeah, Arizona. We're staying at a very nice place, and we'd be glad to have you and have you come out. You could even possibly have dinner with us, or or, or just say hi, or get a book signed, or
Yeah.
and if we don't have enough books with us, if we can always connect that part in the future.
Yeah.
Uh, and that said,
Have a wonderful. Oh yeah, you know what? We're flying, so we won't have a lot of.
no, but the connection is there. The
Yeah.
link is there,
Yeah.
in the
Everything's
mail.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I just thought about that.
yeah. That that's my wife thinking deep again. I kind of stay on the surface, and
You do not.
yeah, she know I go deep, but she speaks deep. I think deep, but she speaks deep. And, and
Absolutely.
and sometimes she even said, "This is a lighter note. Then we're gonna shut down." Uh, Sometimes she says things, and I get it, but sometimes I have to give her a hard time because she just sometimes assume she just pop in the middle of nowhere. She said, "Yeah, that's the connection in that spot right there," and I said, "Connection." And this is after we were silent for maybe a half hour. And I said, "Connection." She said, "Come on now, you know we're there, right? You with me, right?" And I said, "With you on." But I actually do be with her.
He mostly be
Sometimes she
with
catch
me.
me by surprise, but I'm usually with her.
He mostly be with me.
I
There
said,
are times when I'm like, how could you not know what I'm talking about?
"Yeah, But, that said,
That said, so thank you so much for joining us. We're not gonna do like the preachers. We're gonna actually get off, but we're so grateful and so excited to be before you and just being able to bring Sunday service with the Morrisons. And hopefully you'll join us next Sunday. It'll probably, I'm sure it'll be earlier than this because you gotta work. So it might be in the morning. We might do it in the morning. Um, but Sunday service with the Morrisons will be at the same bat time, same bat channel. We'll be on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok as usual next Sunday. So thank you for joining us. And if you want to see me, I do Tuesday and Thursday healing chats, same places, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. And I also have a show that I do, Ebony and Ivory on spiritual growth on Wednesday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Facebook with my partner Megan Marie. And I also do a show with um, Coach LT, book coach, on Friday at 10:30 a.m. We've been doing it, and it's been so amazing. We have covered so many things that a lot of people don't want to even talk about. We talked about depression, and she shared some really deep, intimate, real, raw, and vulnerable things on that. And so you don't want to miss that as well because we go deep because we know that people need that. We talked about divorce and how we felt about it, and we shared about counseling and how we both had done therapy, and she continues with therapy and how useful it is in this world. And so that's one of the things that I've just really been loving about this conversation. Hey, Kiana, thank you for joining. So anyway, so we are done, but we are so grateful that you have joined us today. And so we'll be back on again next Sunday.
and some of my friends from the islands of the Rasta community would say, "Irie, one love." So we love you. It's one love,
One love.
knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Get it, and it'll be a one love, more loving world.
Namaste.
Respect.
Yes. Damn, baby, you did